Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you are joining us. I am your host, Katie Milton Jordan, and we are here for AI Action Class 3 of 4 in the Subtract series. So let's take a look at what we're going to be working on today. We are following the book Subtract, The Untapped Science of Less by Leidy Klotz, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. We encourage you to support the author. This AI action class teaches AI fluency, not the book. We use the book's frameworks to practice building and using AI workflows. And if you find these ideas valuable, please read the original work. As always, our AI action class agenda follows a template every single time. We spend a few minutes at the beginning of the call going over our introduction, understanding the context of what we're going to be doing today. We spend a few minutes learning the concepts in the book that we are going to be applying today. And then we spend the bulk of our time actually applying the book's concepts along with AI workflows so that it can be customized and personalized to our own life and business challenges. Then we like to come back together in community to share our insights, feedback, and questions. So the untapped science of less is the core concept inside the Subtract book. And Lao Tzu says to attain knowledge, add things every day, and to attain wisdom, subtract things every day. So in the book, we go through the concepts of invert, which is trying less before more. Start every improvement by asking what you could remove. The concept of expand, that gives us the idea that we should see adding and subtracting as simultaneous actions. We can zoom out to see the full field of options when we remember that not only is adding an option, but subtraction is also an option. We take a look at distilling, which means we focus on people and not things. We embrace complexity to find what to subtract from it, and the concept of persist. Keep subtracting when biology, culture, and economics push you to add. And in our first couple workshops, we learned that our brains are predisposed to adding things, and it's almost like we have this mental blind spot that when we're working on projects, our knee-jerk reaction is to add, and that our brains literally cannot see subtraction as an option. So in our first class, the subtraction audit, we created a structured inventory of one project or process that identified 3 to 5 elements to remove with an impact assessment for each. In last week's class, we took a look at the full field view, and we created a full field options map, a visual decision framework showing add, subtract, leave options for a current challenge with trade-off analysis. And in today's workshop, we're going to be covering the people filter. The goal will be to cut through complexity by focusing on people and finding what to subtract from systems. The key topics are going to be distill thinking, people over things, embracing complexity to simplify it, Maya Lin's memorial design, anti-apartheid subtraction, removing unjust structures. So this is a people-first simplification plan. That's the deliverable that we're going to be creating today. It's a complexity reduction blueprint that starts with human impact, identifies structural removals, and preserves what matters. In next week's class, we will be following the persistence protocol and creating a subtraction sustainability plan. And the week after that, we will start a new book. So if you guys have suggestions or requests of what book we should be doing in our next series, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Claudia via email. Would love to hear from you. Here on our screen is an example of what we call an AI workflow. And this is my weekly reminder that a long prompt and an AI workflow share some similarities. And an AI workflow is a long prompt, but a long prompt is not an AI workflow. And the reason why is because inside our AI workflow, we have some key ingredients that allow the AI workflow, to guide us through a very focused and specific process to get to a specific deliverable. So now we're going to move into our application portion of today's workshop, where I will ask you to visit our public folder located at bit.ly/AI formula. It's on the screen. Please navigate there now so you can find the PDF for workshop 3. We're going to spend roughly the next 20-25 minutes running the workflow in that public folder. And I'd like to remember to work on your work. During these classes, we are able to accomplish 3 very important things at the same time when we commit to working on our work. 1, we gain AI fluency because we're working with the tools. 2, we learn the concepts from the book because we are focusing on a specific book. And 3, we actually create a personalized or customized deliverable that can be immediately put to use in our life or business. So we accomplish 3 things with 1 stone when you commit to working on your work. I'd also like to remind you that this is your time to learn and explore. You can learn and explore AI concepts. You can learn and explore the concepts that are being talked about in the book. Simply instruct your AI to go deeper into something that you would like to double click on. Remember that if you cannot think of answers, you can ask AI to make suggestions based on what it knows about you or based on best practices. If you get stuck, just speak to the AI as though you were giving instructions to an in-person assistant. And of course, I am here to assist as well. So let's go into our public folder here. Here is our public folder, and you're going to want to navigate to the Subtract AI action class. In here, let's take a look. I think this is our workshop 3 prompt. Nope, that's class 1. So let's see if this is workshop 3. Yes, this is our AI action class, workshop 3. I like to remind folks to read the introductory paragraph so that we have a sense of what we're going to be doing in the next steps, and then quickly scan the steps in the workflow so that we can begin to prepare our minds around the context that the AI is going to be asking us for. So in our introductory paragraph, we can see that we are instructing the AI to act as a strategic advisor, an expert in the principles from Subtract, the untapped science of less. We're asking the AI to specialize in the 3rd action framework, which is Distill. This is the discipline of focusing on people rather than things and embracing complexity to find what to subtract from it. Your role is to guide me through a structured process to build a people-first simplification plan that cuts through complexity by starting with human impact. So the goal is to have a finished people-first simplification plan by the time the last step is done. So let's take a look at step 1. That is going to be to name the complexity. Step 2 is to center the people. Step 3 is to identify structural removals. Step 4, protect what matters. Step 5, build the simplification plan. Step 6 is the final deliverable where we will have a people-first simplification plan. Now we're going to go to the bottom of our AI workflow, and we're going to copy all of the text, and we are going to bring it into our LLM of choice. Friendly reminder that all of our workflows are created to be LLM agnostic, so you are welcome to use this in whatever LLM you prefer to work in. And we already have the instructions in there saying run this workflow step by step. We like to put that in there as a best practice so that the AI doesn't ask us all 50 million questions in one go. We want the AI to do this step by step, and it dynamically changes its follow-up questions and context based on the information that we give it. So that's one of the powers of an AI workflow over a long prompt, and it also demonstrates AI's ability to personalize and customize education at scale. So everybody who is here in this AI action class right now is working with the same concepts, but dealing with different constraints from their own environments. And that is what the context that they're giving their AI so that they can get customized instructions for their next steps. So let's take a look here. AI is introducing itself as the Distill strategist. So we are going to walk through the third action framework from the book Subtract, which is Distill. This is the one I think you'll find most resonant given the work you're doing right now on your email calendar, routing infrastructure, and the subtraction debt you've been describing. What Distill is. Klotz argues that the most powerful subtractions don't come from looking at a system's parts and asking, what can I cut? They come from flipping the question entirely, who is this for and what do they actually need? When we start with people instead of things, the noise becomes visible and what to remove becomes obvious. Distill means embracing complexity first, then extracting the essence. Maya Lin's Vietnam Veterans Memorial is the canonical example. Faced with overwhelming complexity of war loss and national grief, she didn't add no statues, no flags, no heroic imagery, no explanatory text. She distilled it down to names on a wall. The power of that memorial comes from what she removed as much as what she kept. The anti-apartheid movement is the other reference point. Sometimes the most important subtraction is removing unjust structures, policies, layers, systems that exist to serve power rather than people. Distill thinking asks whose needs are being served and whose are being ignored. So the 6 steps that we'll walk through, we reviewed this when we checked out the AI workflow in one of our earlier steps. We're going to name the complexity, so start thinking about the full scope of what you're working with, no shortcuts. This can be in your business life, in your personal life, but make sure you bring a real challenge, a real pain point that you're working through. In step 2, we want to center the people, identify the actual humans at the center and what they need. Step 3, identify structural removals, find the layers, the processes and policies serving the system instead of the people. Protect what matters, name the essence and the load-bearing walls so they don't get cut. Build the simplification plan, sequence the removals and phases, and the final deliverable is our complete people-first simplification plan. So it's asking, do we want a short primer on Distill thinking or do we want to jump right in? And I'm going to say yes. Let's get a short primer just so I can quickly scan it with my eyes. I will save you guys the pain of hearing me read to you. I already do a lot of reading to you guys, so we will try to keep this tight. Our core insight. Simplification efforts fail in the same way. Someone looks at a bloated system, picks the thing that looks most obviously removable and cuts it. So this fails because it starts in the wrong place. It starts with the system and asking what can come out. How we're going to flip this is the people asking what do they actually need. So this is about changing our center to people instead of the system. And then we get an example of Maya Lin's design process. So undergraduate at Yale, Vietnam Memorial, she asked, what do the families of the dead actually need? Okay, so this is her example of how she moved it from systems being the core of the decision to people. So her answer, they need to find their person, to touch their name, to grieve a specific human, not an abstract war. That's pretty powerful, frankly. Okay, statues are abstract, flags politicized, no imagery because the families weren't grieving heroes, they were grieving sons and daughters. No explanatory text because grief doesn't need an explanation. So what became was 58,000 names in chronological order of death on polished black granite that reflects the visitor's own face back to them. Very people-centered. The most visited memorial in Washington, and it was nearly rejected because the selection committee couldn't believe something so simple could be enough. The lesson, Lynn embraced the full complexity of the situation, and that was definitely a complex situation, and then distilled. And she didn't simplify by ignoring the complexity, she simplified through it. Embrace the complexity before reducing it. Ask who benefits from this existing. Distinguish noise from the essence. And why this matters for the work that I do, you can already see that AI is customizing some of its content to me based on what it knows about me. So it says, you already think this way more than most people. You've used the language of subtraction debt, and you're actively auditing systems that have accumulated complexity. What this framework adds is the sequence. Complexity first, people second, structures third, protection fourth, plan fifth. Skipping a step is what produces the chaotic simplification that creates more problems than it solves. So, name the complexity. Tell me which system, process, or situation you want to work on, and we will map it. Okay, great. So I'm going to use my Whisper Flow tool today that you guys have seen me use before to communicate with my AI. The complexity that I want to work on today is that I will soon be onboarding a new virtual assistant, and I am having a hard time conceptually wrapping my brain around the work that I will delegate to this person, because the system that I'm running, my CEO operating system on my desktop, is quite complex, and many of the agents and tools are attached to my desktop. So another practical, complex item I need to solve for is, how do I get these agents off my desktop and to the virtual assistant so that the virtual assistant can execute on it. So there's a couple different layers in this complexity, and a few things that I'm not sure I can properly communicate yet. Okay, so I've now described the pain point that I want to work on in my life and business today. Okay, it says, notice what you just did. You said there's a couple different layers and a few things I'm not sure I can properly communicate yet. That's exactly the right starting point. Posture for Distill. You're refusing to shortcut. Let's stand at the site like Maya Lin did and feel the full weight before we draw anything. Let me ask you 4 questions to map this out. Answer what you can. I'll fill in the rest. So AI is asking me to describe the system as fully as you can. Wow. Why is it complex? What makes it hard to explain or hand off? How many different people or groups does the system serve or affect? And has anyone tried to simplify this before? What happened? Okay, let's think about this. This is a tough challenge to explain something that is very new and cutting edge, because AI is new and cutting edge, and how we're stress testing it is pretty unique. But in my CEO operating system on my desktop, I have files and agents for all of the ventures that I lead and contribute to, and it is quite robust. In the description that you just gave me, you seem to already understand a lot about my operating system, so I'm not sure that I need to give you many more details there, but let me know what clarifications you might need to take the next steps. It's complex because AI is new and people are still learning how to work with these tools. We don't know what we don't know. Many of the pieces are interconnected, and touching one breaks another, and we find out about that because we do it and something breaks and then we have to fix it. So yeah, it's hard to explain, it's hard to hand off, it's complex because it's advanced and we're building it faster than we can even understand what we're building. The different people or groups that the system serves or affects, all of the individuals that work for or with all of the ventures that I lead or contribute to. So that's a lot of humans, and it looks like you gave a good summary there based on your understanding. And yes, I have tried to simplify this before by creating agents to audit my system, to create improvement learning loops, and while it's meant to subtract and curate and synthesize, it seems that the additional things that I am creating just add to the noise, and the operating system continues to grow just like a fungus. Okay, a lot of context there. Okay, look at this. It's pulling some information incorrectly. I think the Greater Mason County region's most honest system audit. The additional things I'm creating just add to the noise, and the operating system continues to grow like a fungus. That's the diagnostic insight. Even your simplification attempts are subject to the addition bias that Klotz warns about. The audit agents that we're supposed to subtract are themselves part of the bloat. That's not a failure, that's data. We're going to use it. Complexity profile. Now, take a few minutes if you guys are running this workflow alongside of me to read that AI has understood your pain point or your challenge accurately. And if it has, you can go ahead and proceed to the next step. If it hasn't, just speak to the AI as if it were a human assistant and let it know what was off the mark and let it know how you want it to do things instead. I'm going to scan this quickly. Okay, much the system is physically tethered, tacit heavy, 9 distinct groups. Desktop tether problem is its own beast. Technical architecture. Fungus metaphor is doing real work. Does a complexity profile capture the full picture? I'm going to say yes, and we're going to move on. Yes, this looks pretty accurate. Proceed to the next step. Center the people. Now we're going to make the distill move. We shift the lens from the system to the humans. Among the 9 stakeholder groups, only 2 to 3 are actually centered in this particular simplification. Whose experience are we actually designing for? Who are the 2 to 3 most important people this system serves? My hypothesis, the new VA, B, me, C, Chelsea and Claudia. Yes, I would agree. For each centered person, what do they actually need from this system? The new VA needs clarity on what work is hers, access to the tools, judgment-free tasks, way to escalate. I need confidence that the delegated work will get done correctly and relief from work that's draining my capacity for high leverage thinking that only I can do. Chelsea and Claudia need clear lanes that don't conflict. I would agree. What are they currently experiencing that they shouldn't have to? For the VA, she doesn't exist in the system yet, so the friction she'll experience is anticipated. For you, I suspect you're currently experiencing the friction of being the only person who can run the system. That's true. For Chelsea and Claudia, where they currently get stuck because the system requires you in the loop. If you could design this from scratch with only these people in mind, what would you keep and what would you throw away? Okay. Yes, it looks like your answers to 1, 2, and 3 are mostly accurate, so I don't feel like I need to give you feedback or edits on that, so I'm going to spend the majority of my time responding to 4. If I could design this from scratch with only these people in mind, what would I keep and throw away? So if I had a magic wand, I would want a operating system dashboard that pops up every single morning for the humans in the system, me, Chelsea, Claudia, the new VA, so that we can quickly and easily take a look at what was accomplished in the last 24 hours, what do we need to accomplish in the next 24 hours, and maybe some short to midterm other things on the horizon beyond 24 hours, perhaps the end of the week or the end of the month. So we can see what we're working towards, and we can also perhaps see what we've accomplished in the past if we want to learn from our gap and gain thinking. But a dashboard that allows us to look at something first thing in the morning and feel calm and confident about the day in front of us. We know where to go to find tools and resources that we need. We know how to communicate with one another. We know how to share and collaborate on projects. We have a regular stand-up meeting on a daily cadence. We're a well-oiled machine. I am unclear on how to architect this infrastructure because I feel like I'm getting lost in the weeds. Okay. See what kind of feedback we get from the AI. The essence just revealed itself. Stop for a moment. What you just described is not what I would keep and throw away. It's what the system is actually for. You named the fruiting body. Well, that's an interesting phrase. Everything else is mycelium. Wow, AI is really using some big words today. Let me reflect it back so you can see what you said. A dashboard that allows us to look at something first thing in the morning and feel calm and confident about the day in front of us. That sentence is the Myelin moment. She stood at the site and asked what families needed, and the answer was to find their person and touch their name. You stood at the operating system and asked what your team needs. The answer is to wake up and feel calm and confident about the day. The names on a wall equivalent is a single morning dashboard. Everything else, every agent, every audit loop, every routing rule, either serves that or it's noise. Hold on to that. We're going to build the rest of the framework around it. So we've got our person group, we've got what they need, what they currently get. Here's our gap, and here's the noise. So this people-centered needs map shows a good progression of the people that are involved and each one of the steps in the process. So this is another place where you want to confirm that AI understood your instructions. And if there's anything that you want to give feedback to the AI on or ask for edits, do that now. But here is what AI is surfacing for me. What stands out, the biggest gap, there's no shared morning surface. Everyone is operating from their own partial view of reality. True. The loudest noise across everyone, the audit and learning loop layer. You built it to subtract and it's adding. The hidden gap I want to name. You said, I'm unclear on how to architect this infrastructure because I feel like I'm getting lost in the weeds. That's a gap in your support for building the system. Okay. One important reframe. You said you're unclear on how to architect this infrastructure. I want to gently push back on that. You just architected it in one paragraph. You described a morning dashboard shared by 4 humans. The yesterday, today, this week, this month, past view, tool and resource discoverability, communication channels, project collaboration surface, daily stand-up cadence. That's not someone lost in the weeds. That's someone who can see the whole tree but doesn't yet trust their own clarity. Interesting. Thank you, AI, for pumping up my tires this morning. So the architecture is the dashboard plus the rituals. The remaining work isn't figuring out what, it's figuring out what to remove so the dashboard can actually exist. Does this reflect their real experiences? Specifically, is the morning dashboard truly the essence, or is it one important piece of something larger? Did I correctly identify the audit learning loop layer as the loudest noise? No, I would agree with that, the hidden gap. Yes. Yes, I believe this does reflect the real experience, although is the morning dashboard truly the essence, or is it one important piece of something larger? I am not sure. I would like your feedback on that based on what you know about me and the ventures I'm running and contributing to and the operating system that I'm building on my desktop. Do you believe that the morning dashboard is truly the essence of this? Let's see what kind of feedback we get from AI. Maybe AI will surface something new. Look at this. I thought for sure the AI would agree with me, but AI is saying my answer is no. Interesting. The dashboard is the artifact, not the essence. The dashboard is what the essence looks like when it's made visible. Okay, tomato, tomato. But underneath it, there's something more fundamental that the dashboard is in service of. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we agree with AI's logic today. What I heard in your magic wand description, when you described the dashboard, the operative words weren't dashboard, view, surface, list. They were words like calm, confident, well-oiled machine, know how to communicate, we know how to share and collaborate. You weren't describing a tool, you were describing a state of shared coordination among a small group of trusted humans. Your dashboard is one way to produce that state, but the state itself is the essence. My hypothesis for the essence statement, a small group of trusted humans wakes up each day knowing what matters, what's theirs, and how to work together without Katie having to be the connective tissue. I like that. Without Katie having to be the connective tissue, because right now I am the connective tissue. So the dashboard on its own would just be one thing requiring you to maintain it unless the deeper essence is removing yourself as the single point of integration. I'm curious about what that means. Why I think this is the real essence. 1, you built 5 ventures and a delivery infrastructure in roughly 12 months. The bottleneck is not capability, it's that all 5 ventures share one operator. Oh, that's true. They still require me to maintain them. 2, you told me self-identify as neurodivergent. You've talked about the gap gain, calmness, think smarter, live calmer. That tagline is not branding stuff, it's value structure. Let's see here. 3, the fungus metaphor. Fungi grow because no central nervous system tells. Oh, there we go. Mycelium. When to stop. Okay. We're getting like biology grammar today. The operating system grew the same way. Yes. Okay. The essence has to include something that functions as a central nervous system for the humans so that you stop having to be it. Fascinating. So here's the refined essence. The 4 humans operate as a coordinated team with a shared daily picture, clear lanes, and ability to make decisions without Katie being the connected tissue. 2 things I want to flag. I don't know whether you actually want to stop being the connective tissue, and I don't know if Claudia counts as a human in this essence. Good questions. Let's see here. Great questions. Yes, I think I want to stop being the connective tissue. I mean, at some point as these ventures mature, I need to be able to move away from them so they're not overly dependent on me. I'm not quite sure what that looks like for timing and milestones and maturity, etc. But yes, I don't want to be a bottleneck. I'm not sure if we can count Claudia as a human in this essence because she is like our email front door. So if and when and unless Claudia's scope of work expands as the AI expands or updates, I'm not sure we can count her as a human that we can give work to, but maybe that is limited thinking, and what's possible now with AI is something that I haven't considered yet. Let's see, wouldn't that be cool if AI came back and was like, yeah, here's how you can get this program to do a bunch of things that you want done. I want to stop being the connective tissue, some practical reality. Simple EDO is the youngest. Answer to a question, what does timing and milestones look like? We can sketch that in step 5. Okay, Claudia, your instinct is correct. I want to validate the limited thinking worry while also honoring the practical truth. Claudia in her current form is the email front door. AI is moving fast, and Claudia's scope can absolutely expand. Claudia's infrastructure that serves 3 humans designed to be promotable. I agree. I like that. Refined essence statement, 3 humans operate as a coordinated team with a shared daily picture supported by Claudia as the central nervous system. Okay, I like that. Now Claudia just got promoted to central nervous system so that each venture matures toward not needing Katie as connective tissue. There we go. So what this sentence just made possible, the 5 ventures don't all simplify the same way. The desktop tether problem is now a Claudia scope problem, not a tool problem. Interesting. Which agents should live in Claudia's scope, accessible to all 3 humans through her, which should remain Katie tethered because they require Katie's judgment. Okay, well, this is going to get fascinating. The audit learning loop layer fails the essence test. It doesn't help 3 humans coordinate. It doesn't help Claudia route. It doesn't help a venture mature toward independence. It mostly produces information for you alone on your desktop. That's a strong evidence that it's a removal candidate. Ugh. I'm not sure I'm going to agree with AI on that point, but I will suspend my disbelief and move on. So step 3, does the refined essence statement feel right? Do you agree the 5 ventures need 3 different removal patterns? Yes. Okay. Yes, I believe this looks correct, and I'm going to push back a little bit on the audit learning loop layer failing the essence test. I disagree because that learning loop layer improves the system, and the system serves the humans. So I don't think that should be removed, but I am open to considering how we can modify it so that it serves the essence of what we are doing and the people who work with the system. Okay, hold that pushback. You just demonstrated exactly the discipline that step 4, protect what matters, is built on, and you did it before we got to that step. Great. Learning loop genuinely improves the system. It is in service of the essence. So what went wrong with the current implementation? The audit agents are observing the system but not pruning it, right? So we need the human to prune it. We don't have an agent that prunes yet. Observe the system, surface friction, recommend specific subtractions. Okay, I like that. Specific subtractions make me feel better about an agent running a subtraction agent. Look at that. Audit learning loop goes on the modify list, not on the remove list. 2 quick things before we move to step 3. Does the diagnosis feel accurate? Are you ready to proceed? Wow, we're only on step 3 and we need to get to 6, and we've got about 6 minutes remaining. So I'm going to move us quickly through these next 3 steps so that we can do some feedback and insights. Yes, that looks good. Please proceed. Now, as AI is taking those next steps, I do want to open it up to you guys so you can share with me a little bit about what you have been experiencing as you've been running this workflow alongside me. Did anybody run the workflow this morning, or are you guys waiting to see the demonstration before you give it a try?
I was waiting this time because I started it and then my workflow at home, because I have 2 separate instances
Sorry,
of Claude co-work, and they don't talk to each other. So I think makes more sense to do it from home.
Okay, I'm going to have you repeat that just because there's a little bit of echo there and I didn't get what you said.
Is that better? Oh yeah. So I started to, and then I was like, well, this doesn't sound right. It's not incorporating. Unfortunately, I have Claude co-work on my desktop at work, and I have Claude co-work on my desktop at home. So this Claude doesn't know all the things that Claude knows.
Ooh, that's a real constraint.
So, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to simplify all my skills and all the scheduled tasks that I have and everything within Claude. And I'm like, well, it doesn't make sense to do it here. So it's like, well, I'll just get you started on the prompt, and then you can go to your, to your home computer and do that. And I was like, yeah, that makes more sense to do it, because that's what I wanted to kind of and I missed the first week of this, so I wanted to go ahead and start with that first prompt too. I did run the second to see the questions that it would ask me as well, but I couldn't get all the way through it for that reason.
Okay. Yeah. That would be a challenge to have 2 different operating systems, 2 different Claude co-works.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I would definitely, if it's possible, maybe brainstorm around how that can be re-architected, because I think that will probably just continue to grow into a bigger challenge for you. But feel free to ping me if you want to hop on a one-on-one call and talk through some creative solutions.
Yeah, and to make it even more fun and complicated, my office, we have enough folks now on it so that I could jump on right to the work one, but I don't want to do that because then I lose, what I've built at home. So it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a challenge. I wonder, you could probably create an agent though to audit both environments, and maybe use an agent between both of them to keep them similar.
Yeah, and sync them up. That's kind of my thought process.
Okay, Larry, I see you have your hand up. What are you thinking about?
Mine went off the reservation, partly my fault. Mine left and divorced me. It for some reason asked me some questions in the very beginning. Is this more of a corporate perspective or more of a personal perspective? And I said corporate, and it came back with, oh, you don't have rights to use this material. So I deleted it and I'm starting over, and this time I'm reading the questions it's asking me.
Interesting. Why did it say you didn't have the rights to use the material?
To use it as it was looking at it from a perspective of I was going to be training with it, like I was going to be training in my profile. I said only speak to me as the CEO or chief marketing officer back. And I think I'm going to change some of my prompting because it made the assumption that I was looking at using it for training purposes without approval, without a license approval. So I had to go back and delete the prompt, not the prompt, but what am I trying to say? The project, and then reinstall it again. And then this time I said, this is for personal use only. And now I'm working through it. But be careful of reading the little questions it's asking, because it does matter.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Well, I am just telling AI to carry on, answer this based on what you know about me, so that I can get to a final deliverable, make it to our step 6, so we can take a look at what the final deliverable is for this implementation plan. So I'm going to say yes. Let's get to step 5, build the simplification plan. Okay, and while it is building that out, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and take a look at Q&A in the chat, see if there's any questions. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a little bit behind on them, but I did the one for the first week, and it was really interesting. I thought, okay, I'll do something similar to what you did with the email, but then I ended up moving into this whole thing that got to this Marie Kondo style thing where it was like really about subtracting the mindset of feeling like I need to accumulate all the things in all the places, because without the mindset, it's like you're just going to end up replicating this in a new system, because if you're not addressing some of those underlying patterns. And so it helped me really think through like the mindset of why I have so much clutter across all of these digital spaces. And anytime I get a new thing, that becomes cluttered. And so with that, and so I was like, okay, that's interesting. So we talked about some of the triage, but I thought it was really helpful how it wasn't just about subtracting the thing, but through that conversation, I mean, AI didn't come up with everything, but through that conversation, it helped me see like, oh, this is more of a mindset systems thing that I have to deal with on a deeper level. And so coming up with like questions about how and when do I add things or subtract things to prevent just clearing stuff out, but then just reaccumulating it after I subtract it because I haven't really changed the mindset thing. It was interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I like that it went someplace where it was like we're gonna adjust something that isn't tangible. I too am having some really cool insights just by working through these AI action classes. It's been fascinating to see like where it leads, because it's always kind of an adventure. It is pretty fascinating. Okay, so I've just rushed AI through the final steps and got it to my final deliverable, and now I'm asking it to turn it into an HTML plan, similar to what you guys have seen me demonstrate in the last couple classes, because HTML is a format that can be read by both machines and humans. And we anticipate that this is going to be the new PDF, right? So HTML designs. So it is creating my final deliverable right now, but I can see that we're already 2 minutes past the top of the hour, and I want to cut you guys loose. But what I will do is remind you that we have created a shared folder inside our public drive. I think it's in the public drive. Yes. We have a shared folder in the public drive. Yep, shared deliverables is the name of the folder. So if you have homework that are, equal fridge papers you're really proud of, you want to share them with your colleagues, or you've discovered something that's working really well for you, and you want to be able to share that with the community, you can go ahead and do that in the shared deliverables. So some of the shared deliverables, or some of the deliverables that I've created in the last couple classes, I've put in there. If you guys want to go in there and see those HTML files that I've created, you are welcome to do that. Any other questions or comments before we wrap?
Real quick question. When you're working on a project, and it's not specific to your mindset, I'll call it mindset, like I'm working on a marketing piece right now, do I create the instructions more from a marketing executive position, meaning that I have my profile in Claude, basically how I want to be spoke to. Now let's transform to like a project. If I'm working on a specific project, do I go in and do a different set of instructions for that, or if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're talking about. So the answer to your question with most responses is it depends.
Okay.
And if I were working on a deliverable, I would give the AI as much context as possible. So if I knew that I was working on a marketing document, I would call in a marketing expert. So for example, Donald Miller is the expert who came up with StoryBrand. And that's a framework that you can apply to your marketing
Okay.
deliverables.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Kathy, say his name again. For some reason you clipped just as you said his name.
Donald Miller.
Okay, thank you. All right, cool.
Excellent. And a quick reminder, Monday, May 11th, I am starting my AI Agent Builder Bootcamp. It is a new class. It is 1 hour a day for 5 days in a row. You walk away with the tools and the education to build your own AI agents. So if anybody is interested in enrolling that class, that starts this coming Monday, May 11th, seats are priced at $999. Drop me an email and I can help you get enrolled in that next class. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great week and I will see you next Thursday.
Thank you.